This is part 2 of World's Perfect Forwarders, now voiced by the co-owner, aka me. We first arrive in Algeria, where we start off with the independence of Kabylia, located in the provinces of Tizi Ouzou, Bahia, Guayana National Park, and Djeirta National Park. Kabylia has historically been inhabited by the Berber peoples for centuries, and today are facing the forced Arabization by the Algerian government, for which I'll give them independence. Heading south to Botswana, we solve many issues by giving the independence of Zambezia, a region of northern Botswana that is inhabited by the Zambesian people. Zambesians have faced discrimination from the Botswanan government by taking away pieces of land, the right to free speech, and even participation in government. Along with these terrible representation, the region has been exploited by foreign gas companies, timber companies, and others, without discussing it for the people. These concerns come to the solution of the creation of Zambezia, by taking the Nagameland district, the Chiloé district, and portions of the Central district. Next, there's Cameroon, which has experienced a civil war. Usually we wouldn't cover countries with an ongoing civil war, as they're usually against militant groups, and nothing else. This conflict has been going on since 2017, but we can trace it all back to the 1880s. At this time, it was what has become known as Ambazonia. There was English missionaries in the area, but this area was given to the colony of German Cameroon in 1884. After World War I, the colony was administered by the French and British. During the decolonization of the mid-20th century, Cameroon became independent, where the British half held a plebiscite vote to either join Cameroon or join Nigeria. The North joined Nigeria, while the South joined Cameroon. Keep in mind that Cameroon proper spoke French, while British Cameroon spoke English. The reason why they joined French-speaking Cameroon instead of English-speaking Nigeria was mostly because of religion, as the North was mostly Muslim, while the South was Christian. Anyways, the two regions in the Cameroon had two prime ministers, but over time, Amado Adhido, the prime minister of Cameroon proper, feared that the English-speaking areas would join Nigeria, a growing regional power, and to take the valuable resources in the region. To solve this problem, Amida changed the constitution in 1973 by making the government a unitary state, removing the autonomy of English-speaking areas. In 1993, English speakers created the Southern Cameroon National Council to represent the people by advocating for self-determination and holding polls throughout the region. This was usually peaceful, but were stomped out by the police multiple times, such as in 2016, where police shot at protesters, one of the events that sparked the Cameroonian Civil War. To end hostilities and bring stability, Ambazonia will gain independence from Cameroon. Heading eastward to Eritrea, the Red CFR Democratic Organization and the Democratic Movement for the Liberation of Eritrea, Kanuma, have called for the southern Red Sea region to be independent or join Ethiopia. Normally, I would see if the parties had any regional positions, but the country has been ruled by the same party since 1993, so I'll give it to Ethiopia as they don't have any access to the sea. Now, the funny thing about Ethiopia is that we just gave it land, but we're going to spread some independence and freedom, if you know what I mean. So last year, at the time of producing this video, the Tigray War, which is also connected to the ongoing civil conflict, not a civil war per se, but I digress. But today, the majority of the Tigray Regional State Council has the majority of civil, national, or outright secessionist groups in power currently. Not to mention that the last election was in 2020, so independence. Another region in Ethiopia that will gain independence is Oromia, which is currently caught in the civil conflict, as it is a member of the Unrepresented Peoples and Nations Organization, along with many protests led by Ethiopia's National Youth Movement for Freedom and Democracy. But these borders are not that good, as it has exclaves and enclaves. It makes generally a pain for Ethiopia. We fix the borders by cutting Oromia in half and by giving Oromia a bit more land to the west. Moving on to Libya, there's also another civil war, and at this point I'm just straight up breaking my own rules and not covering civil wars, or representing militant groups. But this situation is not as heated as it was in 2012. The two main sides coexist but don't recognize each other. And who are these two sides, you may ask? Internationally recognized Libya, Serenkia Transitional Council, which is controlled by the Lebanese House of Representatives, and Tabula Land, which is led by the Tuvalu Front for the Salvation of Libya. Now, it really is an easy fix as most of Libya is just desert, so straight lines will do. Next, going back south to Namibia, to the awkward panhandle called the Kabrivi Strip, created by the Germans during the colonization of the area. and it has swapped hands a lot, from Germany to South Africa and currently Namibia, causing some conflicts to occur. The most notable is the Caprivi conflict between the Caprivi rebels and the Namibian government, resulting in refugees escaping to Botswana to escape feared persecution. To end hostilities, I give independence to the Caprivi Strip. But as writing this, I came to the conclusion that it would be a good idea to give it to Zambezia, as the regions have very similar histories, cultures, and shared languages. Next is a pretty simple fix to the border, and that's creating a union between the Gambia and Senegal, being called the Senegambia Confederation. And I know the original union was dissolved, but both countries are having some talks about recreating the Confederation, which could help economically in this new country. And finally is the creation of the East African Federation, essentially a political union of countries within the already formed East African Economical Union, which would substantially become a leading economic superpower within the region. That's all for now, but make sure to watch the next video where we'll redraw Asia's borders. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe.